Good morning. Welcome to the First Unitarian Church of Chicago. I'm the Reverend David Schwartz, co-minister along with Reverend Teri, and it is a joy to welcome you to worship today. We are a Unitarian Universalist congregation. We're a community of children and youth and adults. We're a people of many beliefs and many traditions. And what unites us isn't that specific list of things we all believe exactly the same, but a set of common values that we share, ways that we want to be in the world, the kind of living that we want to do, all held in common. And a mission, a shared mission, to grow our souls, to grow as individuals, and to heal the world, to help repair the world. Those two things go hand in hand. Whether you're joining us online for the very first time, or you've worshiped with us hundreds of times, you're welcome here. And whether you believe in God some of the time, or all of the time, or none of the time, you're welcome here. None of those are a stage or a stepping stone on some inevitable path to another. We're deliberately a community of multiple beliefs. And look, no matter how much money's in your pocket, no matter if you have a PhD or a GED or no degree, you belong here. There's no price of entry. We're people of many races and many beliefs. We're a people of many genders and many sexual orientations. And we celebrate that. All of you is sacred. All of you is welcome. You belong here. I invite you to center yourself, to take a breath, to settle yourself where you are, and as the prelude begins, to prepare your heart and your mind for worship.
Good morning. Today we gather on this cold February morning for many different devices, in many different places. Today, like any Sunday, we make a choice to be a part of this community, to live out our values, to support one another, and to grow ourselves in the process. Today we light our chalice in celebration of that choice. We celebrate what it means to choose to be a part of this church, one who promises to each other to live our lives in a spirit of love and service. Come, let us worship.
I invite you now to join in the reciting of our covenant.
The commitment that we make to each other about what it is we're doing here, why we gather, who we're becoming, and who we are.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is law. This is our great covenant.
To dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another.
I invite you now to greet one another warmly in the chat box of friendship.
Remembering it's public, say hello.
Good morning. At this time, please gather those who are young and young at heart for a time for all ages. Thank you. I wanted to start this morning with an important lesson that I had learned a few years ago. A while back, when I was teaching OWL in person, we only allowed students to access their phones during class breaks. Part of this was done to ensure that students were paying attention, but some of it was also to make sure that kids were really interacting with each other and engaging in getting to know their classmates well. One day, when we were transitioning back from break time when students were allowed to be on their phones, it seemed like it was taking forever to get everyone to plop their phone back into the cell phone jail basket, and the teachers were getting really frustrated. Until we realized the source of the delay was that the kids were chatting with the other kids inside the class and sharing funny videos with them during the break. What I'm pointing to here is that digital socialization, whether there's a pandemic going on or not, is still part of socialization for a lot of people in the younger generation. Even with our lives transitioning mostly into digital mediums, the opportunities for connection and creativity continue to thrive and grow, especially as they've been pushed to new boundaries. One great example of this can be seen with the game Minecraft. Minecraft has been around for a while, and if you've never heard of it, it's basically digital Legos. Today we'll be taking a look at what it can do. All right. Here we are in Minecraft, and also here we are at church. I know the first time I opened this up, I felt really excited to be able to visit a religious community, even in a digital space. As we take a look around, I'll let you know first before we enter that this particular space was designed to be a part of study of other religions, which is for a class that the middle school group has been working on this year in partnership with a church in Boston. We haven't done a ton with the Minecraft medium as we've had lots of other great content to cover, but how cool is it that we get to be able to visit church if we choose to? This Minecraft world is not just a place to visit though, it's also a space that's designed to allow people to create. As students study, they are allowed to add artifacts as they learn about different individual religions. Give me a moment here to come through the doors so that we can take a look at the inside of our digital church space. So in this church, there's a fellowship hall, and there are also rooms dedicated to each religion that we are learning about this year in the middle school class. If you are interested in checking out the digital church space at all, you are welcome to reach out to me, and I'd be happy to help you to do so to the extent that I am able to do so, as I am still learning. But in any case, I'm really glad that I was able to take everyone here on a little digital field trip today. And thank you guys so much for joining me and for checking out digital church and Minecraft.
Please join me in the spirit of prayer and meditation. Our words for reflection today come from Kwame Alexander. Alexander is an African-American author, speaker, and educator, and NPR's resident poet. He asked for poetry that starts with the words, "I dream a world." That line comes from a poem by Langston Hughes, and it inspired Martin Luther King Jr.'s "I Have a Dream" speech. On behalf of NPR, Alexander issued a poetry call-out, asking everyday people to write their way out of the unprecedented events of the past year and into a space of possibility. Over 2,500 people responded, from first graders to college professors and to grandparents across the country. Alexander took lines from the submissions to create this community poem. This is our dream. This is our dream. I dream a world that sounds like a gentle good morning, like sleep tight at the end of the day, like Ella scatting, a world filled with universal song, a hallelujah of joyous rejoicing in this moment's gift of life. I dream a world in color, where nature's artist takes the lead, clear blue oceans and vibrant reefs, and all creatures thrive with what they need, where peace floats from every direction, where it's not too late to change the people who hate, where race and color are not what the scales weigh, where the root of evil is pulled up and the rain pours down until the ground swells with fertile soil, where potential is the currency of the day and you can be able to see what's next without being scared. I dream of that world, the one that lifts the silent souls from shackles, where vision cannot be smothered beneath my eyes, beneath my reach, where what lies waiting aches to teach. I dream a world where a bridge is arching over troubled waters, built on a foundation of truth, where children grow up learning only one kind of division, the long kind. A world where sharing kindness is commonplace, where deeds are done with heart and zest, where doing right should be the quest. I dream a world where every day is Earth Day and pollution not a thing, and we take care of the ocean and the world, where masks are only for the ball that celebrates a new beginning for us all, where we can see every person smile, where the coronavirus goes away so we can go to school, where people can hug their family and friends whenever they want, where all have the luxury simply to sit and build a puzzle. I dream of seeing foxes walking in a field. I would like to walk with them. That is my wish. I dream a world where native fish fly free, unfettered many miles to reach the sea, and whose sacred presence on our shore predates the ships galore that brought conquerors, colonists, and slaves in chains, where the monarch butterflies are the only concern we have about migration. I hunger for that world, a safe world. For children whose skin is darker than mine, a beautiful sunrise after the night, equity, kindness, color, and light. For my daughter's daughters, my son's sons. I dream of a world where the problems are the problem, not the people debating them, where we lay down our arms so we can reach out our arms, where we know each other's joys and sorrows, and all these days and tomorrows, where the news brings a smile. I dream a world straight, crooked paths are only for walking, a world drunk with self-esteem, fearless and ready, a world where you hold on to your dreams and I'll hold the door. Pass right through, 'cause the world is yours. I dream a world where that world is not a dream, but awake, vigilant. Community gardens on every corner. No more social media advertisements for body armor. People with mental health issues accepted as whole. A mosaic of humans not separated by color, opinion, belief, rusted cages, empty and unlocked, doors swung open, guards long since gone home. Where facts matter. A world as simple as a poem written in pencil, full of mistakes and erasures on the relentless path to its honest truth. Where, as soldiers of democracy nurturing us, teachers are publicly thanked for their service. I dream of a world transparent, walls and floors, built of some durable crystalline material, where we know which student is really watching a TikTok video when we leave the room for a moment. I dream a world where there is quiet, enough to hear each other. The young care for the old, and the earth is cared for by all, where nations' boundaries blur by a bridge of millions of hands reaching across to embrace in oneness, where people are as free as poets meter and inclusion is real, not mandated by law but embraced with zeal, where I can be black and woman and be safe. I dream a world where white folks see all non-white folks in the land of the free as true heirs to the founder's liberty from oppression and powerful tyranny. I dream the world King dreamed for me, that paved gold and America promises prospers, where the playing field is level the same for anyone willing and able, where the anchor to hope in all it brings. Do you not see it is time to finish what has begun? A world that we want to live in. Such is the world I dream of. In honor of Black History Month, we celebrate the many voices curated and edited by Kwame Alexander. I now invite you to type the names of those you would like to lift today in worship, remembering that the chat is public. Or share with us your sentence starting with, I dream a world. For all those souls, cares, and concerns that remain unspoken in our hearts, we pray. we dream a world. May it be so, and amen.
Something that many of you likely don't know about me is that my husband Logan and I both play and collect board games. Lots of board games. In non-pandemic times, we would host family and friends over for dinner, and after the drinks were poured and dinner was in the oven, one of us would take our guests to our floor-to-ceiling bookshelf of board games to select one for us to play in the evening. For my husband and I, board games are an important symbol of community to our family. We love the opportunities to gather with people together and socialize, but we also love the games themselves and how they require equal parts thoughtfulness and imagination. Whether we are guarding an imaginary castle from invaders or solving a curious mystery, the games are made more fun by the people we play them with. As the saying goes, art imitates life, and in some ways, board games are no different. While board games are excellent entertainment, they also have their own lessons to teach us about what it means to be a part of a community and how to work together, or how not to. Today, we will be exploring the lessons that these games have to teach us about being in community with each other as a congregation. The history of board games can be traced back as early as ancient Egypt. They have always been used as a way for people to gather and create their own entertainment. The different types of games people played have varied from time to time and by location, but often were passed down through generations as a way of having fun together as a community. I'm sure you have your own favorite game that you have fond memories associated with, be it a simple chess or checkers. So many of these beloved board games, especially ones of recent times, have one main objective: for you to win and for all of your friends and family to lose. The specifics of this can vary from game to game. Some games, like the deduction game of Clue or the dice game of Ysaÿe, for example, require you to figure out the answer first or to simply get the best score. Your actions are not intentionally to sabotage others and largely don't affect them, but rather you are trying on your own to win a race. Other games, like Monopoly or Sorry, are games where your actions directly affect others, and you are encouraged to sabotage their progress. Whether it be buying key properties or knocking their pieces back to start, part of winning is to guarantee that they lose. These are all great games and fun to play. However, if we step back for a moment and take a look, we can see that these games reward certain behaviors: prioritizing your own interests, stopping others from succeeding, or just being better than all the rest. This can be fun during low-stakes games, but these skills don't really apply to congregational life in the same way. If we put other people down, if we try to make sure only our needs are met, or we simply ignore everyone else in a race to the goal, it is hard to imagine our church being a healthy and thriving community. While one person might achieve their goal, others are left out, and the church as a whole suffers. As Unitarian Universalists, we become part of a congregation not just for ourselves, but to be part of a larger community. We want to see each other succeed, grow our souls, and help the church in the important work of making a better and more just world. Through our covenant, we make promises to each other to live into our values and support each other in community, not just ourselves. But what does that really mean? The UUA's Congregational Life staff says this about covenants. Covenant is the silk that joins Unitarian Universalist congregations, communities, and individuals together in a web of interconnection. The practice of promising to walk together is the precious core of our creedless faith. Every Sunday in our worship services, we say and affirm our theological covenant. Love is the spirit of this church, and service its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. We center ourselves week by week in an earnest attempt to live out our values of peace, love, and service, both within our church and outside it. When we eventually fall short of our promises, because sometimes we will, having a shared covenant gives us the language to remind one another of our shared promise to work together and bring each other back to our goal of community. Being in covenant together means that we journey together through the game of life. We agree that living into our values means we share our gifts. We help each other when we are in need and work together towards our goals, guided by our principles and our covenant. So, to tie this all back to our metaphor, is there a board game model out there that can demonstrate this mentality? I think so. You see, there's a style of board games that is increasing in popularity called cooperative board games. In this type of board game, all the players are working together towards a common goal, where it is everyone versus the game itself. The board game usually has some timed element to it, making it important for all the players to work together to win. In this style of game, there is no hierarchy of winners or losers. Either everyone wins or everyone loses together. To illustrate this, since this may be a new idea for many, I'd like to share an example of one of my favorite cooperative board games, Forbidden Island. Forbidden Island is a game where you and the other players are all adventurers on a deserted island trying to find 4 magical artifacts. After you arrive on the island, something goes wrong and you realize that the island starts to slowly disappear. The object of the game is to, as a team, collect all of the artifacts and make sure everyone gets to the helicopter landing pad to escape before the whole island disappears. To aid you on this quest, players can share their cards, which may have different resources, and strategize together openly during each turn. The only way to win is to work together, to communicate, and share what you have. When we think about our church as a covenantal community, at our best, we are more like a cooperative board game than a competitive one. We share what we have with each other. We work towards a common goal with the same obstacles of life. It is not about who is more right or who wins, but about how we get there and play the game. And no one wins until we all win. It is important to note that working together cooperatively, even in a board game setting, is not without conflict. Sometimes, even when working towards a common goal, players will experience arguments and tension over what the right move is to ensure success for the whole team. When this tension arises, there is discussion, and different players may have completely different suggestions about what to do next. Sometimes, feelings are hurt. But the only way a team can successfully beat a cooperative board game, like Forbidden Island, is if they work together and reach a compromise. They must find effective ways to repair the relationships that were damaged. If someone treats the game like a competition, keeping their resources to themselves, prioritizing the moves they want to make, or preventing the moves of other players altogether, everyone loses. You need everyone to cross the finish line together. If life is like a board game, then congregational life is showing your unique hand of cards, offering up who you are and what you can contribute. Our community is built around sharing the individualized resources we have in order to help others who are in need. We thrive by recognizing that how we journey together is just as, if not more important, than the destination we are working towards, or even the sensation of being right. And we do all of this in a spirit of love and service. This is not easy work, and it is pretty much the opposite of how our society has taught us to be in the world. If we look to the news, we see a nation that is driven by winning, getting ahead at any cost, exclusivity, and prejudice. That's why, when we gather together in our church community, we must make a conscious decision to set all of that aside, to cast off the commercialized and limiting ways of thinking that are drilled into us from a young age. In order to be in relationship with each other, we have to see the way in which we achieve our goals as a group, and how that is just as important as the outcome. That even when we may disagree with the decisions of the group, we will do what we can to help. Because we know that both as individuals and as a congregation, that none of us will truly win unless we all do. Back in Wisconsin, my husband and I had a board game group that pre-pandemic met quite regularly, starting as early as our college years. When we first started playing games together, we played mostly competitive ones that focused on keeping resources to ourselves and using intrigue and sabotage to be the single victorious winner. But as the years passed, we began to play those games less often, and the cooperative games more. We found that we had far more fun when we were all playing on the same side and working together. The more cooperative games we played, the more we grew and bonded as a group, learning from each other and our shared experience how best to work together and to make our way through conflict or disagreements. The more time that went by, the more that we valued our relationships with each other as the most important part of the game. While there currently is not a board game committee here at First U, I see this congregation going through a similar shift in thinking. Since I have been the intern here, I have seen us move away from trying to do things on our own and toward a spirit of community, unity, and support. A movement towards not going into life alone or competitively, but instead working on the same team together in this game of life. The community has become beautifully vulnerable through programming such as peace circles, which encourage deep sharing and building relationships. You've shared all of what resources you have with each other. And when someone is in need, you reach out, especially in the pandemic. And lastly, the congregation is currently in a process of working on a new behavioral covenant through a series of workshops and forums. This will give us the tools on how to name specifically how we want to treat each other and how we can come back into relationship with each other when we eventually fall short. Being in community together, sharing what we have, helping each other is so important for our congregation and is also so pertinent to our world today. While our board games are low stakes, the consequences of division and inequality in our world have been and continue to be very real. But when I look at the work that we have done and will continue to do as a church community, I have hope. What we learn here about engaging in life and conflict together as a community, we will share with our other communities that we are a part of. And they will share that with others, starting a ripple effect out into the rest of the world. I believe that we have the power to engage in forming healthy communities that work together to make our whole world a better place, starting with what we do right here. As a board game enthusiast, my favorite part about cooperative board games is that whenever it is my turn in the game, I am never going in alone. In the moments where I'm handed the dice and I feel the panic of not knowing what to do, I have my whole team there to talk to me and to decide the best move to make together. And that is what I want to leave you with today. The knowledge that as a part of this church community, you too are not going through life alone. Whether it be your ministers, your board, or your fellow church members, we are all right beside you to help you when you need it. We're all on this journey, and we're all playing this game of life together.
For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. Oh, for each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth, keepers of faith, makers of peace, and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage, fathers of time, daughters of dust, and the sons of great visions. We're sisters of mercy, brothers of love, lovers of life, and the builders of nations. We're seekers of truth and keepers of faith. We are makers of peace and the wisdom of ages. We are our grandmother's prayers. We are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings. We are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. For each child that's born, a morning star rises and sings to the universe who we are. We are one. We are our grandmother's prayers, and we are our grandfather's dreamings, and we are the breath of our ancestors. We are the Spirit of God. We are mothers of courage.
We all know that this journey of life is not without its challenges. But when we decide to be a part of this community, to work together, to support each other, to share our gifts, we never face any of these obstacles alone. Our worship has ended, and now it is your turn in this game of life. Go forth and be a blessing.
Friends, in these days of social distancing and online worship, just like when we met in person, the service happens as the work of many hands. It happens because so many people come together to make it possible. Worship leaders and musicians, the administrators, the committee leaders, our board leaders, everyone working together. The ministry of this church is not your ministers. We're just a part of it. The ministry of this church is everyone doing what they can for and with everyone else. And I end the service with a word of deep gratitude and appreciation for all those hands who make this possible. This community is entirely self-sustaining and self-funded through the donations from members and friends. Will you consider making a donation today to support the work of this church and keep making these services and our community possible? Thank you.